Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic where we will be discussing the template driven form in detail. Prior to this session, we talked about the differences between template driven form and reactive forms, right? But there we just discussed the overall pointers. But here, before we move directly to implement the template driven form, we should know about their characteristics, their required module and other basic stuff, right? So in this session we are going to talk about, like, firstly I'll introduce you again with the template driven form, then we will talk about the key characteristics of template driven form, then we will discuss what are the required modules, what are the core directives, and the two-way data binding process for the template driven form. Along with this, we will also talk about the form model behavior, advantages, limitation and use cases. Okay. But before we discuss all of these things in detail, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic. Because for time being, we are just talking about the theoretical thing, but prior to that you should know what is forms, what are the difference between template driven and reactive form. Okay, all right. And for the sequential content, you can refer the Sharmit digital course book, which is freely available in the description box. So from there you can take a reference and you can learn the thing. There are more than 3000 free resources available in both Hindi as well as English language. So as per your convenience, you can refer and learn the things. Okay. Alright. So now let's start the topic. So firstly, you can see here I have noted down one heading that shows Angular course by Sharmit. After that, I have noted down the important pointers. So one by one, we will cover all these pointers. And these pointers will help you to answer the question in your interviews and exams. Okay, because here I prepared everything in a detailed way so that you can answer all the questions. So let's go one by one. The first point says template driven forms are forms where most of the form logic is written inside the HTML template. Okay. So make it very clear that template driven forms are the form where 90%, I would say more than 90% of logic is written inside a HTML template. Second thing is, it is suitable for simple to moderately complex forms. Okay, so if you are going to build a simple, most of the time for the simple form, or maybe a slightly complex form, then in that case you can go for this template driven form. Third point says it is completely based on Angular Forms module. Okay, so Angular template driven forms are completely based on the Forms module. It uses two-way data binding extensively. Okay, so yes, sometime like whenever there is a requirement of the two-way data binding, then in that case we prefer to go with this particular form. Okay, now we will talk about the key characteristics. Like, what are the key characteristics? So first key characteristic is that form module is created implicitly by Angular. Okay, so in template driven form module is created implicitly by the Angular itself. Okay. Second point says it uses ngModel for mapping data between component and view. Third point says HTML driven and declarative in nature. So this is completely HTML driven and declarative in nature. Fourth point says it minimal TypeScript code required. For this form, very less amount of TypeScript code is required, because 90 or more than 90% of logic is written inside the HTML template itself. Okay, fine. So I think we are good with the characteristic. We are good with introduction. Now the next important thing is what all modules are required. So you can simply say that for template driven form must import forms module from Angular forms in the module. Okay, so if you are implementing it, make sure to import forms module, because this will help you to use this template driven form. Also, there is no need of reactive forms module because we are talking about the template driven form. So there is no need of for using reactive forms module. Okay. Then we have fourth point, which says core directive. Like, what are the core directives? So first core directive is ngModel. It creates form control and binds the data. Second is ngForm, which represents the entire form. Third is ngModel group, that defines group control inside a form. The fourth point says template reference variables like hashtag myform, ngForm, used for accessing the form instance. So that is why, like, we are discussing all these things prior to the practical example, because if you are comfortable with, at least you have the idea, right, that what are template reference variable, what are ngModel. So then you can, like, at the time of explanation or creation of the program, I'll tell you each and everything again, and these pointers will help you to recall the concept in a better way. Okay. Then we have two-way data binding, like how we will achieve the two-way data binding. So in template driven form, two-way data binding is achieved with the help of ngModel. Okay. Then we have a second point, which says it automatically syncs the input value with the component variable, and that is the good thing, right? If you are writing something on the input field, it will automatically be synced with the component variable. Okay. Third point says it eliminates manual event handling for the inputs. Okay. So these are the 3 points that defines how we will achieve that two-way data binding. Then we have next point, sixth point, which shows the form model behavior. So in Angular, here Angular automatically creates form controls, track value changes, maintains validity, update form state, and no explicit form model creation is required here. Okay, so these are also important topic, that here the Angular automatically creates the form controls, right? There is no need of tracking. It automatically tracks the changes. It maintains the validity, right? It updates the form state. There is no requirement to update the form state manually. It will Angular will automatically update the manual state, the form state. Okay. And also there is no explicit form model creation is required. Okay. So these are the all form model behavior that we should keep in mind while we are talking about the template driven form. Seventh point says what are the advantages, because we know what are template driven form. Now, what are the benefits or advantages of it? So first and very important benefit is it is very easy to implement. Second, it is clean and readable HTML. Yes, because it is mostly written in the HTML, so it is clean and readable. It is great for simple forms. Okay. Then it is easy for beginner to understand. Fifth point says it is quick development for a small modules. Okay. So these are the all pointer that tells us the advantages of template driven form or TD forms. Sometimes people call it TD forms. Okay. Now my next question is, if it has these many advantages, then why do we need reactive form? Because there are some limitation also with the template driven form. And what are those limitations? Here you can see. It is lack of scalability for complex form. Okay. It is hard to unit test. If you want to do a unit testing, then it is hard. It requires its custom validators require boilerplate directives. Complex conditional logic is harder to implement. It is less predictable than the reactive forms. Okay. So these are the limitations due to which we got the another form, that is reactive form, that we will discuss later. But firstly, we will talk only about the template driven form. Okay. Now we know the advantages, we know the limitation. Then what are the best cases where we can utilize these forms? So first thing is when you want to build a contact form, when you want to build a login form. If there is a form where registration need a few fields, then in that case you can use template driven form or TD form. And also for the feedback service, feedback forms and simple data entry screens. So in all these cases, you can prefer to go with a template driven form. So I hope this introductory session is clear to all of you. From next session we will start with the practical example and we will discuss each and everything in a very simple way. Meanwhile, you can do the practice, and if you have any queries, you can reach out to me through the comment section. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.